Hello, everyone. Again, this is Senior Consultant Michelle Schaefer here in Dallas. I want to welcome you to our, we call it our team call, but really it's open to anyone in Ambit. And again, I want to thank you. I know everybody's been super busy with soccer and baseball. I know my son was thrilled tonight. He didn't have football practice because of the rain, so he got a little bit of a break. But I know everybody is super busy, and thank you so much for getting on the call this evening. We have a very special guest who has never been on the call. I'm very excited to hear his story and listen to all the fantastic little nuggets that he's going to give us. But I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to leave that to our host. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host. If you're not familiar with this gentleman, he's an executive in our business. He is been in the business for about 7 years. He's what we call financially free, which means on the 15th of every month, he has enough money deposited in his account to not have to worry about his bills. I think that's something that we all look forward to. He has been a restaurateur. He has had several restaurants. He's owned a graphic design business. So he's very well versed in business as well as, his Ambit business. He is extremely, extremely creative. He's brought us a 3x4 and the purge calls on Sunday. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on our host, Mr. Richard Laidler. Richard, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you.
Fantastic. I know you always worry that I'm going to have forgotten to put the host code in, or I've pushed the mute button or something like that. But so what about that rain, Michelle? So was it Roman not playing tonight?
No, Roman got out of practice with the rain, so he's thrilled.
Yeah, I was sitting in my office and I could hear that coming down because someone was saying, hearing about all the rain driving on 75. And so I'm like, what rain? Outside it looked like blue sky. And then within about 20 minutes, it was really coming down here. So hopefully everybody was out driving safely today and got home safely and are all snugly and warm on their couch listening to the lovely, wonderful English dulcet tones of executive consultant me. How's everybody doing? 9 o'clock. Thank you very much for getting on the call. For those of you up in the northeast, of which I think we probably have quite a few from the meeting wall that I'm looking here. I can see who's on the call. There's a lot of people from up in the northeast, and I'm sure that's because our guest comes from that area as well. Thanks very much for getting on the call. I know it's late up there, so thank you for staying up late. For those of you down in Texas, we've just had our dinner and we're just getting all, getting our jammies on, little teddy bear ready to go to bed in a minute. And those of you in California just finished your lunch. So thank you very much for getting on the call. And again, reach over the back of your left shoulder, pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself for taking some time out to learn about some people who've been through the same wars that you have been through or are going through. I guarantee every guest we've had on this call has had challenges and issues, and great things happen, bad things happen, and everything in between. But the one thing that is common amongst all of our guests is that they're still here. And I think that's pretty much, for all of the talent you need, that's pretty much the only talent you really need is not to quit. If you just stick with it, then the business is so simple to do. If you just keep doing it, then you will have the success you want. In fact, I spent a little bit of time with national consultant Paul Jenkins at Ambition. We always talk about making sure you get to these big events because you never know when you're going to get that gem from someone, from some training or for whatever. And I've been in the business, as Michelle was saying, for 7 years, and I was at Ambition, and I happened to be lucky enough to be sitting next to national consultant Paul Jenkins, and I'd looked at, he'd been in the business 2 years less than me, and there he is, a top 50 income earner and a national consultant, and I'm like, it's my turn to be trained. And I said to him, what's the difference? And he said, I think I probably talk to more people than you do, but over and above that, he said, it's probably luck. I'm like, it kind of takes the wind out of your sails. And he said, he said, but hear what I'm saying. I said, I'm not trying to be clever by saying that. He said, I think that if you just talk to more people, then by definition, you're just going to be luckier. Because pretty much every one of the ECs, the 5 ECs that took international, he didn't bring them on. They came in from somewhere in his business because he brought someone else on who brought someone who brought them on. I know one of his ECs was down on its 5th level. So that's the point, is to confer what I'm saying, is the talent you need is not to be a quitter. So with that being said, I don't want to take up too much time on the call because I definitely want to bring our guests on the call. This gentleman's been a friend of mine for a few years now. We've been kind of running the business from different ends of the country, but we always get together when we're at the same events. It's great to see him. He's a very successful guy in the business. He's won a Pure Energy Award. He's also, I'm not sure if it's more than once, but he's been in the Success from Home magazine. I think that's just as much because of his good looks as much as his story that he's got to tell. He is the second best looking guy in Ambit after yours truly. So, I mean, that really is a great
I knew that was coming.
Of course. So without further ado, I want to bring on this executive consultant, great friend of mine, Jay Emmer. Are you there, my friend?
I'm here. I'm driving, and I think I'm in a safe cell phone coverage range, but can you hear me?
I can hear you well. Yeah, just make sure I can hear that you are on your cell phone. So just be as clear as you can be, because I know everybody wants to hold on to pretty much everything that you have to say. I know you're often chosen to be the guy who's doing the interviewing at the really big, at ambition events and power trip events and this type of thing, because you are pretty much a mine of information. But I'm pretty sure everybody on the call knows who you are, but I do know we have some new MCs. In fact, I had a couple of MCs join my business this week who I know are on the call, so I know they may not know who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, and then I'd like to kind of get into some nitty-gritty questions, just kind of, let people know where you reign from, how you got into Ambit, what you were doing before, just the usual, just to kind of give people an idea of where you are in the business, please, Jay.
Absolutely. And we've had laughs together. We've enjoyed lunch presentations in Texas. And, Richard, I appreciate being on the call. It's a pleasure, and I'm definitely excited to spend some time here just sharing some thoughts, sharing my story, and hopefully it'll encourage someone and help someone along the way, whether you're new in the business or you're a veteran. I'm your friend, and I appreciate the opportunity. So I started my business October will be 7 years, so it's a little under.
Jay, you seem to have gone quiet. Can you hear me still, Michelle?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it might just be his cell reception.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
We lost you for about 10 seconds, but you're back.
Okay. I'm trying to find a spot to pull over, but there's no problem here. Hold on 1 second here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you perfectly, my friend.
Okay, good. So I got this. It's not going to change because I'm on the side of the road here, so it's fine. So
okay, super.
Perfect spot. So basically, about 7 years ago, my friend approached me, asked me to become a customer. We have a very good relationship. It was an easy yes. So I said no problem. And when I brought the electric bill to my phone, I said, sure, what do you need? He goes, wait, before I sign you up, there's a way to make money with this opportunity. And I said, Bill, no way. Not interested. I appreciate it. I wish you the best, but I'm not interested. And I made it real clear. And he said, look, I know that you were involved in network marketing years ago, and I know you were successful. I know you know a lot about these things. I really would love it if you would just come to a meeting and just I want to get your opinion on it. I would love to get your feedback, and you could at least take a look at what's happening here. And so he goes, look, I'll sign you up as a customer if you promise to come to a meeting at some point, and I did. It took him about 4 months to cash in on the promise, but 4 months later I went to a meeting, and I was impressed. I was impressed with the company. I was impressed with the Inc. 500, fastest growing private company in America. I was impressed with the co-founders and all of that. But it wasn't interesting for me. I wasn't interested in doing it myself until about 3/4 of the way through the meeting. Executive consultant Frank Nagel was speaking in front of the room, and he said, we don't sell anything. All we do is we help people save money on a bill they have to pay. And even though I didn't want to be interested, I didn't want to be excited about this business, I was reluctant to be excited, but I was fired up about this business. I sat up in my chair. I felt like somebody injected steel into my backbone, and I got a chill because I knew I had to do this business. I was pumped. At the time, I was working as a business coach, business consultant. I have a teaching curriculum that I developed for small business owners, and I had a couple of clients that I was working with. And with this business, I only had a few hours a week because just my schedule and my responsibilities between work and everything else that I had going on. It wasn't like I had a tremendous amount of time, but I did have a few hours a week that I could dedicate to the business. And within a year and a half, I was making more money in Ambit Energy than I was making full time. I moved along. I didn't break records, but I moved along at a decent pace. I was a regional consultant within the first 14 days in the business, and then 3 months later, I was a senior consultant, and then a couple of years later, I was an executive consultant. So it was a good enough pace for me at the senior consultant level with some momentum. I started to make enough money where I was equaling and surpassing my full-time income. And so now it's been about 5 years that this has been my main source of income, and I'm free, and I get to control my calendar and come and go as I please and enjoy my life on my terms.
It's interesting you say that, Jay, because I was pretty much brought in the same way, and I try to apply these story type calls that we do to some real life training. So bear with me a second, because it's very important, because I was brought in exactly the same way. I did Amway, didn't like it, couldn't be successful. I did Herbalife, didn't like it, couldn't be successful. Great companies, just not for me. And so when someone said to me about it being Ambit and being a network marketing, I was just not interested at all. But the guy similarly said to me, well, look, I'm thinking about asking your son, so I'd love you to take a look at it because I like your opinion to see if it's good enough for him. And the coaching opportunity here for those who are listening, and we do actually have a lot of people. You've drawn a lot of people on this call, so thank you for that, Jay. The coaching opportunity is here. I was a business owner. I had a business, a 7-figure business. There's Jay as a successful business coach. For those of you who are looking at this business, very often you tend to think, I'm only going to ask the people who need the money or who need the business. And yet the people who will probably do best in your business are ones who come in with some business acumen, of those people who will find the reasons to do things rather than find reasons not to do things. And business owners are that type of person, but very often people are scared to do that. And so this opinion approach, the way that person asked you and the way the person asked me, is a wonderful way to gently ask someone to just take a look at what you're doing. I'd really appreciate your opinion. So thank you for sharing that. There's a great coaching opportunity there for the new folks. If you're scared of asking a business owner or whatever, speak to your upline, crossline, or whatever, get some advice about how to do it, how to make the invite, but make it an opinion-based approach. That was a great thanks for sharing that one, Jay. I don't know if you had anything to add.
Absolutely. Yeah, and yes, and it's really, I think it's worth just adding another point to it, because you know what, Richard, I'm happy you highlighted that, because like you said, both of us know most people limit their success because they limit the number of people that they share the opportunity with, and because they prejudge on the front end. Here's a fact that everyone needs to pay attention to, and that's this. Whether you put 10 people in front of the business that are hungry for an opportunity and looking proactively, consciously, deliberately, intentionally looking for an opportunity, you have 10 people like that, and if you put them on a couch and do a presentation for them, right, you show them the opportunity, and then you take 10 people, randomly off the street and say, can you do me a favor and just fill a spot in a room? I know you're not going to be interested in what I'm doing, but could you do me a favor and fill a spot in the room? The same percentage of people are going to get in. So it doesn't matter how they come to see it. When they see it, the percentages are the same. So so that's why just getting someone in front of the opportunity, whether you tell them, look, you're busy, you're successful, it's probably not for you, but I want to run some information past you. I want to show you what I'm working on and introduce you to a couple of people. Can you come to my house? Can you come to this meeting? Can we meet for coffee? whatever your introduction is, the key is to get those muscles working and exercising your opportunities to just get the business opportunity in front of people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because, again, when you show this opportunity, the opportunity is so good, because as you quite rightly pointed out, Jay, as soon as you take the products out and put electricity in that everybody's using and we're saving money on that, a business owner or non-business owner or whatever, that it will, with certain people, it will just click. And even though every bone in your body says, I'm not doing one of these businesses ever again, for some reason, you'll get the business going. I had stigma in my business, in my heart, in my bones for a year after I signed up, because I knew this business was so good, but I was my own worst enemy. And it was only when I saw Chris and Jerry at Ambition that I thought, I need to just stop. This stigma needs to go away. And it did. But you put the right people in front of this opportunity, and they will just join the business because it is so great. There's no convincing or anything. It just does such a great job. A great point there, Jay. So let me ask you this. Let's kind of get into a little bit more nitty-gritty. We've got some brand new people on the call. I know that for a fact, because I know I've got a few from my team that have come in. And again, I know we've got a lot of people down from in Texas and up there in the Northeast. When you first get someone started, Jay, obviously, they don't know what they're doing. They're a little nervous. We do a couple of very simple things, but there are a few little nuances we learn, and sometimes people are a little bit overwhelmed at the very beginning. When someone first gets started, we lose most of our people in the first month because they're not taken care of properly. So how should, when you've got someone started at the beginning, how should we get someone in the business so that we get the glue there in the early days?
So Brian McClure has something he says very often. He says the key to the business is finding out what people want and then showing them how Ambit Energy can provide it for them, how they can get that through Ambit Energy. So I think step one is not just sponsoring someone in the business, but really finding out enough about what they want. Now, there's three elements to really what people want, right? You don't want to spoon feed someone's dream, someone's why, someone's reason to do it. It should be their reason why. So you're looking for their reason. You're looking for an emotional reason. That's the second thing. Okay? So if you look, I use the acronym 10. You want to be 10 times more effective in finding people's why. You need to use the acronym 10. T is their motivation. So let them tell you why they're motivated for their reason. The E is emotion. You're looking for emotion. You're not just looking for a clinical, diagnostic, check the box kind of, this is why I want to do the business. You want to feel from them why they want to do it. And then the N is negative. You're looking for a negative emotion. And the reason why you're looking for negative is because people move more out of the fear of loss than they do the prospect of gain. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get real clear on why someone wants to do it. And then I'm going to say, okay, great, that whatever the next step is for them in our business, I'm going to use their dream, their reason for doing the business as fuel to do the next step. Not to get, I don't get people worried about step 4 if they're on step 1 or 2 or 3. So step 1 for people is, why are they doing the business? I want to get clear on it. I want them to get clear on it. And then I tell them the truth. And I tell them the truth. The fact is, whether they fail or succeed, it's going to be up to them. But I'm going to be a resource, and I'm going to give them everything that I can to help them become successful. But their success is up to them. And there's plenty of opportunity to learn, plenty of opportunity to do and be what you need to do and be to make this work for you and your family. So if they can sign themselves up as their own first customer, step 1, sign yourself up as your own very first customer, step 1. Step 2, put down a couple of people that you can easily and quickly, low-hanging fruit, sign up as a customer to trigger that bonus. For some people it's 2, 3, 5 people. Some people it's 10 or 20 people. Whatever that number is, you want low-hanging fruit, just a few easy, grandma, Aunt Susie, Uncle Tommy, because you want to trigger that bonus initially right away as soon as you can. And then the next step is sharing the business with friends and family, setting up a home meeting where you can do a grand opening and introduce your business to people by simply telling them, that you're working on a business project, you want to fill them in on what you're doing, and you want to introduce them to a friend of yours who's been real successful. And something like that works. So it's get their dream, make sure they sign themselves up as for their own first customer if they can, help them identify who are the first maybe 5 to 10 people that would be easy for them, a neighbor, an elderly aunt, uncle, parents, that kind of thing. And so then they can trigger that bonus, get a little bit of success under their belt, right? What I do is I give them audio recordings of customer gathering training calls so they know that they're not going to just sell the service, that they're asking for a favor. I teach them how to do it, and then I send them a couple of audio clips. And then I'm going to schedule a meeting with them. And right away, I'm going to let them know, according to what they want to accomplish. If they tell me they want, they want to make a small amount of money, I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to get them started the same way, and I'm going to tell them approximately what it's going to take to do that. And if they want to be financially free and make significant money and replace their job and do that, I'm going to be honest with them, and I'm going to tell them what they need to do. So I usually tell people, for example, when it came to like ambition, the last 7 people I sponsored, I had 4 of them got on a plane and came to Dallas. So a little more than half of them, came to the Dallas, and I told them all the same thing. I said, if you want, so you guys in Texas we have Power Trip up here in November, or whatever the event is that your upline is promoting. Right? Follow your upline leader who has the most vested interest in seeing you succeed. And if they recommend something, do it. And, when ambition came along, I had a conversation with people. I found out what was important to them. And I told them that if you want to make a few $100s a month in Ambit, you don't need to go to ambition. You'll enjoy it and benefit from it. But if you want to make $1,000 a month or $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000 a month in Ambit Energy or more, you have to go to ambition. And so that same thing applies. Those big functions, the trainings, all those things, you can't shortcut the shortcut. And I make sure when I work with new people, I tell them this is already the shortcut. You're going to condense in 2 to 5 years what most people can never do in 20 or 30 or 40 years in a career. Don't try to shortcut the shortcut.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And here's the training opportunity in this one is we have a brand new consultant this week, Jeanette. I know you're on the call. Hi, Jeanette. How you doing? The training opportunity here is that, and Jeanette will say the same thing. I was sitting there with Javier as well, who's also on the call. The first thing we did was we did exactly what you're talking about. We helped her get some customers. She got on the call. She did a great job. But we said, so what do you want from the business? And her initial why was a car issue. And so we basically went and said, well, in order to get that car sorted out, we need to do this. And exactly like you're talking about, Brian McClure, who's the number 1 income earner in the business, making a few $100,000 a month, we listened to that guy because, we want to be where he is. Find out what they want and show them how Ambit can do that for them, and then they'll be successful in the business. The training opportunity here is Jay is up there in the Northeast in New York, and myself and Jeanette and Javier are down here in Texas, and yet we're doing it exactly the same way. Even though the way you sign up a customer is a little bit different up there, even though they talk funny up there in the Northeast, even though it doesn't matter, the system is exactly the same. And I think the training opportunity here is for all the temptation that's out there. Please don't try and reinvent the wheel. You're still gonna. I know I did, and I had to be reined in by Miriam Wado. A couple of times I wasn't doing the 3-way call, and she kind of, this little 5'4" Asian girl took this 275-pound guy in the corner and beat him up and said, you need to be doing this. But that's the training opportunity here, is what Jay is doing up there as a successful EC, is what I'm doing down here as a successful down here in Texas. So duplicating the system, it's been proven. Don't reinvent the wheel. And thank you for sharing that. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Jay.
No, that's great. Absolutely. I think it's really, success leaves clues, and there's a lot of things that there's plenty of room for personality, but at the root of what we do, there are certain themes and certain things that you'll find that everyone does who's successful. That's why you can shorten the learning curve in this business by being on these calls, listening to a lot of the recorded calls, going to the business presentations early, staying late, trying to associate and spend time with people that have done this successfully, because more things are caught with a C than they are taught with a T.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't put it better myself. So Jay, there's people. We've got people on the call, as you said. We've got brand new people. We've got people who are veterans, have been in their business for a long time, and they're listening to this smooth talking EC from up there in the Northeast, and who's never done anything wrong, who's never had a problem, whose business has always been perfectly smooth and has always gone, and everybody has always turned up to the business presentations that he invited. obviously, I'm being sarcastic here. What is really, I found on these calls is very, very valuable is when someone who is as successful as you is vulnerable enough to let us know what went wrong for you. What did you do wrong? What went wrong for you? It's very comforting for so many people when they go, oh, so people didn't turn up when he invited you to a business presentation as well. What when you look back at your MC days and your RC days and your SC days, for those of you who are brand new, they are different positions in the business. As you grow through your promotion, you get promoted from MC to RC to SC. When you look back at those times, Jay, what do you remember went wrong for you? What did you do wrong? What went wrong for you? Because I know a lot of people would like to hear that.
Well, I didn't go fast enough. I didn't learn quickly enough that the people I thought were going to grow to the pace that I wanted them to, they weren't ready. And, I put pressure on people that I shouldn't have because they didn't want to grow to the pace that I wanted them to grow. So I would have been, I certainly knew that going RC because I probably made 80 phone calls to get 25 people in front of the business, to put a handful of people in, which brought me almost to senior, right? So I put 11 people in the business pretty quickly, but then I think I put too much. So I guess one of the things I did wrong from regional to senior was I think I put too much pressure on the people that I was working with that wanted to grow, but they didn't want to grow as fast as I wanted to go. So instead of me going out and putting another handful of people in, I tried to squeeze blood from a stone, and that doesn't work, And so from senior to EC, I think I did a little bit of that, but I think I learned the lesson somewhere between senior and executive, or at least I learned it more than I knew it. I don't think you ever fully learn. I think there's always a process of growing. But I think a big lesson for us in the business is to say, I want to accomplish something in my business, and I want the business to provide something for me. So if my team is not providing that growth, that success, that result that I want, then I need to go find other people I can work with, encourage, and help the current people I have. But I need to find someone, but I need to look for those people that are going to bridge that gap and meet the goal that I want, which is I want fired up, passionate, excited people that want to work really hard for their family by building an army of virtuous leaders that want to do the same thing. And so for me to want to do that, I need to have people that are not afraid to laugh and enjoy, have a meeting, and then after the meeting, people that want to stick around afterwards and laugh and eat something and have a good time with people that are making this thing happen. Because I know there are certain ingredients that I'm looking for, so I think one of the big lessons is not settling, but realizing that I can carve out my niche and build my team and build my business and get the results that I want simply by making another phone call or shaking someone else's hand.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I don't, it's your business and your family's future. You have to make sure you're the one who's driving that. And you're not relying on, your team who may not want to go as fast as you. In fact, last week we had national consultant Justin Title on the phone, and it was a similar question, but it was a slightly different question, but the answer was very similar. Justin was talking about, well, how much time should I spend with my team, and how much time should I spend personally recruiting? And he was talking to his personal mentor, Ronnie Kirkland, and Ronnie was saying, if your team's keeping you busy full time and real busy at the pace that you want to go, work with them. Don't stop recruiting, but work with your team as much as they want to grow and grow and grow, and work with them. But if they're not keeping you busy, then you've got to be out there personally recruiting and building the business. So it's a slightly different question, but the answer is the same as what you were just saying, is bottom line, you've got to grow at your pace. And if your team are not as fast as you are, you just keep going out there and doing it at your pace. I think that's very well put on that, Jay. So
yeah, exactly. And our business is brilliant too, because you can do both, and we've got the opportunity. If you've got some people that are growing and flourishing, and you're doing a meeting in their home, you can bring someone new to that meeting, and and that new person sees a flourishing, successful person. So it's like it's a double win.
Yeah, completely. I completely agree. So all right. So we've got people out there whose business have momentum, and we've got people out there whose businesses have maybe come up against a stop for whatever reason, and there maybe have been a couple of weeks, a month, or maybe even 2 months where something just seems to have slowed down. I always like to ask this question of leaders around the country. For those, when you have someone in your team that has come up against a stop, either for whatever reason, it can be for a number of different reasons. It can be psychological, can be a problem in their own life, or because who knows what it is. When you have someone who's come up against a stop, MC, RC, SC, EC, how do you help them get moving again if it's been a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even a month or 2 months, or even longer sometimes?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing to acknowledge is the same thing that you just acknowledged earlier by joking and saying, "Oh, look, you're perfect business, and you've never had a struggle and all of that." And the fact is, everybody stalls, everybody struggles, everybody has periods where they feel like things aren't growing the way they want, including Brian McClure and Ray Monty and all the top leaders in the company. So it's important to know that you're not alone, and everybody experiences it, and that's fine. So I just had a conversation with someone on my team a couple of days ago, just like this. And for everyone it's different. For some people, the business is stalling because they are completely stalling themselves, and it's okay. Sometimes a stall is okay. It's a time to regroup. It's a time to regroup and think about what you want. It's a time to let your emotions through a little bit. Maybe you need to get a little more angry. Maybe you need to get a little more fire in you. Maybe you need to get a little happier. Maybe you're not. Maybe you need to just, it's okay. What I would say is, don't ever stall on a few basics. Don't ever stall on attending functions. Don't ever stall, regardless of how you feel, attend. Regardless of how you feel, get on a team call. Regardless of how you feel, do a webinar. Because commitment to continuity creates emotional stability. That's an important line to remember. I learned that back in the other business. I was mentored by some very, very successful people, and that was a line that I never forgot. Commitment to continuity creates emotional stability. So the volatility of emotion will decrease as you commit to a team call and a webinar and a business presentation every single week, right? If you say to yourself, no matter what, I don't care how I feel, and it's very similar to what most people do when it comes to their job, right? They don't say, I don't feel good, I'm not going to work today. They go to work. And so if you can do that for a job, why can't you do it for yourself? And my first advice is commit yourself to the fundamentals that will feed and fuel you and diminish or at least lower the amount of volatility that you feel and experience. That being said, I like to troubleshoot with people. And if you're having a stall and there's a tactical reason, you need to talk to someone. Talk to your upline. If you have a good relationship with a cross-line leader who's very effective in the business, talk to them and get some feedback. Because sometimes it's very simple. Maybe you're doing 9 out of the 10, 99% right, and 1% little tweak, and everything's different. Sometimes it's a little change of the attitude. Sometimes it's a little something. But whatever it is, talk about it mostly with your growing upline leader that is vested in helping you become successful, and eventually you'll get past it.
Yeah, so I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was very eloquently put, and just again, the coaching opportunity here is, if you're stalled, talk to someone. The most important thing is, if you don't talk to someone and you distance yourself from that person, you become more introverted, and those bad feelings start to vegetate in your mind. If you're stalled, I mean, at the end of the day, we all started our business to get financially free and to get the success that we wanted. So we know we want the business to do what we want it to do. So for all of those things that Jay was talking about, the first thing is, if you're sitting there stalled, don't introvert and avoid the phone. Call someone, speak to someone, and if you're on the receiving end of that call, if you're the person who's getting a call from someone who's stalled, Jay was talking about relating to that person and saying, you know what, I understand. I had exactly the same thing. Because very often when you're stalled like that, you think, I'm the only one. Everybody else is promoting. Everybody else is recruiting. And I'm the only one who's not. So if you're the person who's receiving that call, make sure you understand what their reality is and say, my reality has been exactly the same thing. And then, as Jay was saying, get to the business presentations, the coachings, and this type of thing, and just activity will get rid of the doubt, and you'll start moving ahead. I mean, so great, perfect. I don't know if you want to add to that at all, Jay.
Well, Richard, it's what's interesting is sometimes we don't know when people are stalled. I tell people, look, I have a fairly large business, and I care about everyone, but if I don't hear or see you in a little while, I may not call you as quick I want to, but you should be thinking about calling your upline because there's more people for us to reach out to than there is for you to reach out to us. And so we're looking out for each person, but sometimes when I don't see someone or hear from them, I don't know if they're trying the business. I don't know if I want to help, but if they're not letting me know that they need help or want help, I just assume sometimes that maybe they're taking maybe the business isn't a priority. They're not doing anything right now. I've had people tell me, hey, I've been struggling. I said, well, I didn't know you were struggling. You didn't let me know that. I'm here to help. Please let me know. So today I just wanted to make that point because sometimes people struggle on their own, and it's not necessary to struggle on your own.
And also from an EC standpoint, Jay, hopefully you'll be able to acknowledge this as well. We want to hear from you. It's very often, people think, oh, I can't call the EC because they're so busy or whatever. And Michelle, who MCs this call, there are times when she'll call me 5 or 6 times a day, and and she's certainly not apologetic for it. We have a great time. But trust me, as ECs, as SCs and RCs, we want to hear from our downline, whether you've got massive momentum and you want our help, or whether you're stalled. Please call us. We want that call. We want to be able to help. Don't think that they're too busy to worry about my problems. Wrong. We want to hear. Please reach out, cross-line, upline, or however you want to do that. Jay, I'm sure you feel the same about that.
100%, and it's amazing how many times, and I've heard it before, even when I was just for years. It's how the help is available and the support is available, and and so often people don't take advantage of it, and it's sad because the help is totally available. I mean, and I just got an example. I actually there was a day I was very, very discouraged. Year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that, two or 3 years ago, and I was very discouraged. I had somebody that I should have shown the plan to. I didn't. Got in the business with somebody else, and I was feeling really down about it. And you know, it's just the way that it was. And what's interesting is I had a conversation with Ray Monty and Brian McClure, both of them, on the same day about something as small as seemingly insignificant. Here I am, an executive consultant with a big business, paying my bills with Ambit Energy, you know, and whatnot. But I was just really impacted by this particular person who got in the business. And by the way, the way I discovered it was they called me because they saw me in the Success from Home magazine. They got in the business. They saw me in Success from Home and called me and said, "Hey, Jay, this business is awesome. Why didn't you call me? I would have got in with you."
Oh my God.
So it felt terrible. And so little hint there, just please don't do that. Make sure you talk to everyone, your friends and family. But anyway, Brian McClure and Ray Monty told me, both told me, Jay, it's happened to us too. And they somehow, I just felt so much better. And I could have just said, I'm not going to call them. Especially for me to be able to say, I'm going to call Brian McClure about, you know, I'm going to rub my eyes in it with tears. Oh, somebody got in the business with somebody else. Like, the fact of the matter is, both these guys understand and they care, and they spent time with me on the phone. I mean, I thought that was two of the top guys in the whole entire company on something like that. If that can happen with Brian and Ray for me, what about your executive consultant? So the answer is yes. Seek help. Talk.
Absolutely. So if you're stalled, reach out. If you're the person who's being called, make sure you understand and let them know that they're not on their own. So great. That's fantastic. Some fantastic coaching there. Thank you very much, Jay. So let's change gears a little bit here. Obviously, Ambition was tremendously exciting. The promotions are very, very exciting. We've obviously got till Friday night, so we've got like two and a bit days left of the double, triple, quadruple bonuses that are out there. What should people be doing? I mean, this is kind of an obvious question, but again, probably, for everybody in the business. Between now and Friday night, I mean, at the risk of an obvious question, what are you doing with your teams to make sure you maximize these last few days of the triple, quadruple?
I mean, I think that most people have many more opportunities in their sphere of influence and with their list of names than they know. So the first thing to do is to look at all the people that you've shown the business to in the past, if you have some history in the business and you've done some activity in the past. And I think there's an opportunity to call all those people up and say, hey, lots of things have changed. The opportunity is better than it's ever been. We've expanded into Japan. We're going into Canada, and there's this crazy promotion going on. I don't know if the timing is any better for you, but there's a quick way right now that you could make $400, $500, or $600, and I'm looking to work with a couple of new people. Can we have a conversation about it, or do you want to hang up on me? And I think that kind of talk, that kind of direct talk with people, I think if you have 20 people that you can identify that you've shown the business with in the past, that'll open up the door for a few of those. Or if you talk to 10, I guarantee you're going to have 2 or 3 good or 4 good conversations out of 10 because of that initial conversation. Outside of that, because it's a time crunch, if you're reaching out to people tonight or tomorrow, I think you need to say, hey, urgent situation, working on a business project, working on something right now. I need to get in front of you for a cup of coffee. It's important. When can we talk? Can we talk on the phone for 15 or 20 minutes, or can we do coffee today or tomorrow? It's important. And I think that those are the kinds of conversations, and I think if you have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 conversations like that, it will open up the door to be able to say, here's why it's urgent right now, because there's a very special window of time that may not mean anything to you, but it means something to me, and let me tell you why. And that's the way I would approach it. That's the way I'm approaching it, and I have people on my team succeeding doing it like that.
Yeah, and again, the coaching opportunity here is you can hear in Jay's voice his posture, is you can hear his urgency. And for those of you who didn't manage to write that down, because just hearing Jay say it sounds like, oh my God, that sounds so awesome. I wish I could say that. This call is recorded. I'll make sure it goes up on the EC Riders Facebook page so you can go back and listen to it. We're about 46 minutes into the call, so if you need to fast forward to find out where that invite is, get to the recording, get about 45 minutes in and listen again, because both of those approaches were just diamonds. And very often they get lost in a conversation or lost in a call. So I will make sure it's up there, and you can go back and you can get it written down, and I'm a great believer in writing those invites down. So, Jay, we're getting I don't want to keep you up too late because I know it's way past your bedtime. But let's just have a look to the future. We've obviously coming to the last quarter. We're in the last quarter of 17, moving into 18. We've moved into Japan. We're moving into Canada. We've got simulcast coming up in January the 13th. We've got ticket sales going on October the 2nd, I believe it is. What are your, just as we kind of bring the call to a close, what are your thoughts for the future of Ambit? For those who are brand new, who think, wow, I'm the 400 and something thousandth consultant, is the opportunity as good as it's always been? What are your thoughts about the future of Ambit? Maybe talk a little bit just quickly about why they should maybe get registered for simulcast as well and the international expansion. What are your thoughts from the big picture, the vision, as it were?
So right now we're in the infancy of this business because we're only in 16 states, and just starting Japan and soon to be Canada. Obviously, other countries are going to have an opportunity in other countries. This business is really just in the infancy stages. When you think about the markets, we've got Dallas, Texas, we've got Chicago, we've got Houston, we've got New York and Connecticut, New England area, and there's a few other pockets of areas that are succeeding in the business. Some a little bit in Ohio, a little bit in different parts of Pennsylvania, and I don't want to miss spots, but what I'm saying is there's only small pockets of success in small areas, and do you realize that everyone listening to me, you can actually succeed if you're in a service area. You can build an incredible lifestyle in your own zip code alone, and
right.
Here we are talking about 16 states, Japan, Canada, and all these other opportunities that are going to expand. From $1.4 billion right now to $6 billion is going to be not just, it looks like it's 4 times greater, but in terms of the impact of everyone on this call, it's 40 to 50 to 100 times greater than you could even imagine because of the ripple effect of the foundation that's already laid. The foundation that's laid is huge. So anyway, regarding simulcast, I think everyone, I just want to encourage everyone to set some goals to how many people do you want there. And if you're a regional consultant, you should be thinking, my goal is to have XYZ number of people in my senior code attending Ambition, because the number of people that you have going to these events, what happens when people go to events like that is they build their belief and they build their confidence and their excitement and their ability to grow beyond that event multiplies. So the number of people you have there will actually dictate your success 90 days out from that event, and even further. So start setting goals with how many people you want to attend those events. When you're from here to simulcast, and then from simulcast to Ambition, you should be thinking about how many people you should be plugging into that event. That's the best kind of goal setting that you can do.
I couldn't agree more. Just the 2 points you mentioned there. When you look at the how big is the opportunity with Ambit? When you look at all of the other big direct sales companies in that have been out there, the Amways, the Herbalife,
yep.
the Advocares, and this type of thing, their biggest growth was when they hit what they call a hockey stick point in their graph. And the one thing that was consistent amongst all of those companies was the point of the hockey stick. So the company is growing at a shallower rate. Now, we've been growing at a massively steep rate, but it'll get even steeper to hit that hockey stick handle, if you can picture a hockey stick. The one thing that's consistent amongst all of those companies when they first went international was when they first went international. And what has just happened with Ambit, we've just gone international. So the beginning of that hockey stick handle has happened for Ambit right now. And that's where the big success has been with all of those direct sales companies in the past. So absolutely, it is. You put it perfectly. The word you said, Ambit's still in its infancy. I wrote that down. I mean, it's because it absolutely is. Infancy. It's in its infancy. So the concept of it being too late is so far wrong, so far removed. And then your point about simulcast, I couldn't agree more. Setting goals for the number of people you have at simulcast, I think is a great idea. Maybe even set little competitions for in your team, to have, even if you're a small little RC and you have a few people running, just have little competitions to get people, because the amount of money you're going to make is directly related to the number of people in your team you have at the big event. And the next big event is obviously in January, the simulcast event. So, again, fantastic. Well, I'm going to give you the final words, Jay, just so we kind of go out of the call. I really appreciate your time coming on the call. Thank you so much. But just kind of like your final thoughts, your final few words for the call would be most appreciated.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Richard, and I'm happy. I'm so happy to be able to spend a little time with everyone here. I mean, I love this business, and there's just it's a lot of fun doing something like this. It's rewarding, and I just hope I have a chance to meet everyone and spend some time, encouraging each one of you. But all I can say is it's worth the journey. Fight. Don't be afraid to be yourself and to fight the battle that you need to fight for your own dreams, for your own family, because you can do it. You can do this. And when I say you can do it, it is whatever you want to accomplish from this vehicle, you definitely can do it. And I hope I have a chance to hear your story. And I know there's a lot of people listening in, and a lot of people I know, and a lot of my friends. But for those of you who haven't had a chance to meet yet, please make sure that you say hello at some point. And if I can do anything to encourage you along the way, Richard, if you could, when you send the link, if you can give them my cell phone number, just send my cell phone number out to everyone who is listening, and if I can encourage anyone in any way, just let me know.
Jay, thank you so much. What a fantastic call. I couldn't, again, when you're able to take a call like this where it's filled with stories, but actually apply it to real, practical, on-the-ground running training is a great, that's when it's a really great call. And, Jay, I appreciate your vulnerability, talking about, when things weren't going right, and your encouragement is just wonderful. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day, almost at 11 o'clock for you tonight. Thank you so much.
Totally my pleasure, Richard. Love you, buddy.
All right. Love you too, bud. All right, guys. Well, we're going to get out of the call. I've got a little bit of housekeeping, very, very quick, I promise you. The next training opportunity, we've got a business presentation down in here in Dallas, and I'm sure you have the business presentations up there in New York and across there in California. Make sure you get to the business presentations. But the next training opportunity, as you know, on this call, I have my Purge call, which is basically trying to teach you or giving you the daily and weekly method of operation. You put the Ambit system in. Again, it's the same Ambit system that Jay uses up in New York and I use down here in Texas. What that call is all about is plugging it into a week. The system's the same, but it's just making sure that we do it. It's very simple business to do. It's a very simple business to do right, a very simple business to do wrong, but it's simplest not to do at all because your day and your week gets in the way. And that purge call is all about helping you plan your week so you give the 15, 20, 30, 60 minutes a day that you need to do to build the business. That purge call is on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. All the details for that are going to be on the EC Riders Facebook page. I do share it on the other teams' pages, and thank you all the other teams for being gracious enough for me to allow me to share that information. It's a popular call. We have 100 or so people on that call regularly each week. It's a very popular call. So that's the purge call, Sunday night at 8 o'clock. For those of you down in the DFW area, sorry to you guys up in New York, you can't get down here. Well, I guess you could fly down if you want to. We have a team dinner once a month. And when I say team, I don't mean my team, I mean Ambit. It's an Ambit team dinner. We get together. It's pretty much social. There's very often a training opportunity there because you're going to be sitting next to an NC or an EC who's been in the business for many, many years, and you're sitting there sharing food with these guys. Occasionally I'll have a guest speaker there as well, but we have a different venue for that, and I'm going to look for that whilst I'm talking about the other training that's going on, so I can give you that. Hold on, here it is. Okay, so the team dinner for next week is actually going to be at a brand new location because what we're trying to do is to try to get our friends over in Fort Worth to join us. We don't want to make it a Dallas exclusive thing, so we're coming over your way a little bit, guys. We're coming over to Arlington. So the team dinner next week is going to be in Arlington. It's a place called Arlington Rock. The address is 2300 East Lamar Boulevard. Again, 2300 East Lamar Boulevard. It's Arlington Rock. I'll make sure I get that again posted on all of the relevant Facebook pages. Please do come join us. It's probably some of the best training I've ever had is because I'm sitting next to someone and I've got their undivided attention. I mean, regularly we'll have a Frank Schmeling or a Pat Ezenak or Paul Jenkins, these major people in our businesses sitting right there, and they can be next to you. Great opportunity to do that. So that's the team dinner next Wednesday. So next week, again, the details will be up on the Facebook page. And then we've got a training here, a regional training here in the DFW area again, October 21st. We've got national consultant Henry Yee flying in, again from the Northeast, to come and share all of his experience. He's been on pretty much every 5-star trip there's been since the company started, I think. Incredible trainer, very, very funny. Originally from China, so his humor is hilarious, especially with his crazy accent. It's a lot of fun, but incredible trainer. That's on October the 21st. Again, the details will be up on pretty much all of the Facebook pages, but you can register for your ticket. I think the ticket's like $25 or $30. So again, for 6 hours training, that is a bargain. What's that, like $3 an hour? I mean, good Lord, that's incredible. But if you want to get your ticket, go to ambitlive.com. Again, ambitlive.com. Go get yourself registered. Go get yourself a ticket. All right, guys. Well, we've got to pretty much almost the hour. Sorry to keep you guys on the call for so long, but when we have someone who's as full as fantastic information as executive consultant Jay Emma, I'm not going to hang the call up. I want to make sure you guys get as much out of this guy as we can because he's so busy. He's hard to get on this call. So thank you guys for staying with me on this call. Michelle, if you wouldn't mind unmuting the line.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay and Richard.